Hi, it's Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through all the books I read in January. So this is my first official 2023 wrap-up, and I'm excited to get through these books with you. I read 8 books and then I DNF'd another one. So I'm just gonna go through them in the order that I read them. The first book I read in January was Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. This is a contemporary Black love romance, and I picked this book up off of Caitlin from the Love Librarian's recommendation. I saw that she really loved it. It was like one of her favorite books of 2022. And I was just really sold because she mentioned there was gonna be like a ton of pining, and there definitely was like a lot of pining from our male character. So this is the story between Dominic and Sloane. Sloane was previously married, but her husband died a couple years ago, so now she's a widow, and Dominic was her husband's like best friend. So they've all known each other since college, and unbeknownst to Sloane, Dominic has been in love with her for like this entire time. But he's like a complete asshole to her on the regular as a way to like push her away and to hide his feelings, and it's their story. But then it hit like 30%, and their relationship just kind of accelerated so quickly that like the pining was over and they were just in this physical relationship, and then it was just smut, just like straight smut. And this book was long. This was like 400 pages or so. This was almost 500 pages long, but I didn't need that much. Like it was just like after the next, like it wasn't progressing their relationship. So yeah, that was a little disappointing, and just them transitioning into being in love with each other, like it was a little lost with all the smut. And then I unfortunately skimmed like the last 25%. I kind of saw where it was going, and I was just like, this book is way too long. It took me like almost the entire month to read this book, but so much good potential. Like I wouldn't not recommend it. That's how I started off January. I ended up giving that book 3 stars, unfortunately. But I'm glad I picked it up, and I will still read books from Caitlin's recommendation, even if this one wasn't a perfect fit for me. Then I try to pick up a book that I got from a Goodreads giveaway. So I have won like a handful of Goodreads giveaways, but like the last few have not been hitting, so I haven't been completing them. So I can't put my reviews up. And then I feel bad, like I'm not gonna give it a 1 star because I DNF'd. Like what kind of, that just seems really rude. But then at the same time, I don't wanna force myself. So with that said, I did not complete this book. This was my 1 DNF for the month. It is The Marriage List by Ella Quinn. It is a historical romance. So it's like some girl, she's very particular. She has her list of characters she wants for a man, same with this other guy, and apparently they're gonna fall in love. The issue with this book is that there was like no picture created with the descriptions. Like I couldn't visualize anything. It was just very like dry. And for whatever reason, the author felt it necessary to name every single living creature that was in the story. So I was like getting through like 10, 20 names. The author even named like 4 dogs in the first 20 pages, and 2 of the dogs were dead. Like, why do I need the names of dogs that are dead? Like, they are not impacting the story. Why are you adding more complexity to something that's unnecessary? It was really frustrating. There's way too many characters. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say it was probably like 20 characters in 20 pages. Like, oh, so-and-so sisters, cousins, da-da-da, like, and the dogs, and the horse, and it's like, I don't need that many names right now. Can I get my head wrapped around the important key players? It was bad. I'm sorry. I would not recommend this. This is by Ella Quinn. I mean, apparently she's a US Today bestselling author, but I just am not seeing it. I was really shocked with how much this writing did not work for me. Okay, let's move on to something better. After that, I was like, dude, I just need something that is fun. So I tried His Beauty by Jack Harbin. This is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, fantasy, monster romance. Classic like Beauty and the Beast. So same setup. The girl's father is like trapped in the castle. I don't think he's dying in the normal one, but in this version, he's like really sick, and she goes to save him, takes his place, and the beast is like, you're gonna have to stay here, and he's like trying to seduce her. He's like attracted to her, and it's their romance. It was like a fun enough time. I gave it 3 stars. The only notable thing I have to say about that is that she had really good fighting skills for like no apparent reason. Like, why are her fighting skills so good? Like, she was really like wielding like weapons and stuff like a pro. Yeah, so if you're looking for like a short, easy, no big deal monster romance, His Beauty is a good option. Then I read Piranesi. This was for my IRL book club here in my building with my new friends. This selection was by Maddie. I had little to no idea what this book was about, except for the fact there is a man living in this like endlessly large home, and there's like a mysterious person that's now in the home with him, and he's threatened by this person. What I didn't know was that there was the other, like this actual other person that he was very familiar with, like he would meet with them regularly, and learning about the house was really cool. It was kind of hard to imagine the home, so it was cool to like get everybody else's interpretation of what the home looked like, because at the same time it's like a labyrinth, and then the style that the book is written in is from his journal entries. So he's like updating us, and like the way he tells time is different. He's like the year the albatross came to the 59th Northern Hall, like that kind of thing. And it was just really weird. I'd say like the first third was just kind of trippy, because you're just trying to get your head wrapped around this world and the vibes of the story, and like, okay, this is the reality we're in this fantasy world. And then little things start trickling in where you're like, wait a second, I don't think our narrator's that reliable. Like, he clearly doesn't know what's going on. And it turns into this kind of dark mystery, like what's happened to Paranescence? Like, why is he here? Like, he's realizing he can't rely on his own memory from certain things. So I don't want to give too much away. It was a ride. It was very intriguing and cool. I will admit though that the plot wasn't as complex as I had anticipated. Like, once things are revealed, you're like, oh, okay, like I could have guessed that once like some of the pieces were laid out. You know, it wasn't nearly as complex as I anticipated, but it was still interesting. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Then I was like, okay, Paranescence was on the darker side, denser side for me. I was like, let me get back into my jive. Let me read another fun fantasy monster romance. Apparently monster romances is where I'm at to start 2023. I picked up Sweet Berries. So this is the second book in Canebrake Creek, which the first book was like that milking farm book that everybody was obsessed with like a year or 2 ago. I read that as well and had a really fun time. So this story is between Grace and Merrick. Grace is a human, and she is kind of not really looking to date, but she's just like really horny. Grace doesn't really have any major issues going on in her life or the plot. She's just a little horny, but she doesn't want to hook up with her coworker, this guy that's been coming on to her really hard. He's like a minotaur. Minotaur? He's like a minotaur. Her ex was a minotaur. He was like really abusive and stuff to her, like emotionally, and she escaped that relationship and like moved to this farm in this little town, whatever. So she's like really not looking for a relationship, but she goes home one day after like a close encounter with her coworker. She's like really tempted to just satisfy her own needs with him, and she goes home to satisfy her needs by herself and feels that somebody is watching her from her window. So she's got like a little bit of a peeping Tom, and it's that story. You end up, not really spoiling, but you end up finding out that the peeping Tom is this Mothman named Merrick, and he is just like kind of the sweetest, most like shy, bumbling, nervous wreck around her. But he's very attracted to her. He's new in town. He's like a professor, or he's like a scientist. It was a very fun time. His anatomy is very different as well. And also he is a very giving lover. Very cute and charming monster romance. Definitely recommend. Really a fun time, low stakes. I ended up giving this a solid 3 stars. Really quick, then I finally finished this book I've been reading for a while now, and it's called Love Poems in Quarantine by Sarah Rawl. I picked this up a few months ago, and yeah, it's just like a cool time capsule of this woman and her experience during quarantine, obviously, and how we all kind of had similar experiences. I annotated it a bit, highlighted, wrote some notes on some of my favorite poems. Some of them had some really cute or really like meaningful or thought-provoking or like just lines that resonated with me. Okay, this one. All right, this one in particular really resonated with me as like a side effect of being in quarantine, and it still kind of does. I'm trying to get better at it. It's called Non-Essential Workers. Wives or no wives, we are now married to our houses, and are we happy? I am so married to this apartment. Like, I am here all the time, and a lot of the time I'm here alone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm home alone right now. And yeah, that just like really resonates with me. Like, I just kind of feel trapped sometimes here in this apartment as a side effect. It has gotten better, obviously, because there's barely any restrictions anymore in New York, but there's no push to go into the office, but I really should. And the few times I have for like events and stuff, or like to meet up with coworkers, has been really positive and really good for my soul. So that really resonated with me, and I actively need to be better at getting out of this apartment. So the next one is Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. So this was another really highly anticipated read for me. So this is like a second chance marriage in trouble story. So this is about Olivia and Bennett. This isn't a spoiler, but Bennett cheated on Olivia and they are in the process of getting a divorce. He gets into like a car accident and loses his memory from like the last 2 years. So he doesn't know that they've been separated for 6 months. And he's like still madly in love with her. And she is just like kind of unsure of what to do because she's still technically his wife. So she's trying to like kind of help him while he's in the hospital. And he's shocked to be told that like they're not together anymore. And he's just like obviously heartbroken and stuff. This book is really good. It gets your blood boiling for sure because Bennett has like a girlfriend and Olivia has like this guy she's been kind of hooking up with, and when they come into the story and like clash with the main couple because like Olivia is trying to help Bennett out but keep her distance, and Bennett is just like, I want you back even though I don't remember what happened. And he's like really trying to fight for his marriage. He's like, I don't know why I would give you up, like that doesn't sound like me at all, like, you know? And it was just like really heartfelt and heartbreaking. So I gave this 4 stars. I couldn't give it 5 stars because the ending just wasn't as satisfying as I needed it to be. We didn't get that resolution where it's like, okay, this is what caused our problems. This is what we're gonna do in the future so we don't come across this again. This is what's gonna happen if it does. This is how it made me feel. Like, this is how we're gonna overcome it. Like, that was not included at all. It ended up just being, is Olivia gonna decide to forgive him or not? And that's it. Like, that was a resolution. Will she forgive him or won't she forgive him? But it still made me feel a lot. Like, I sympathized a lot with both characters, and it like I said, it made me like enraged at times, like, which was intended. So yeah, I enjoyed the reading experience for sure, but yeah, I just needed I needed more out of that ending. And then I wanted to participate in the KU readathon that a few of the booktubers I follow created. So I ended up picking up Fair Catch. This is by Candy Steiner. So this is a story between Riley and Zeke. So Riley is a twin. She has a twin brother. We kind of start off with them in high school right after Riley's brother has been in a car accident, another car accident. These poor guys. He was in the car with Zeke. Zeke was driving and they had come from a party. They were both intoxicated and there was a obviously a car accident. So he's now in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Riley is very upset and angry with Zeke, but her brother, I can't remember his name, is still best friends with Zeke. He's like, I need you to forgive him. I need you to make a promise to me, you know, all this stuff. And Riley takes promises very seriously. So her brother he had dreams of being like a football star, and he makes Riley promise to do the football career path in his stead. So she like always played with them when they were kids. She was on the soccer team, so she's a very strong kicker. So she applies for colleges, like she joins the high school team and applies for colleges as a kicker, and she makes the teams, she gets the scholarships or whatever. So now in the present timeline, her and Zeke are on the same team at this college, and it's their romance. It's like enemies to lovers, childhood friends to lovers story. Also, it is a mixed couple. So Candy Steiner, the author, is white, and our main heroine, Riley, is white, but Zeke is black. So it's kind of nice to see mixed couples. I think this is my first book where it was written by a white author and it has POC main characters, but like, I'm here for it, you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna gatekeep POCs. It's just good to have representation in books. Whatever, I don't know how to say this right. If you're just looking for a fun, reliable, new adult sports romance, Fair Catch is a great pick. It was spicy and steamy and fun, and there was a lot of football content. So if you also enjoy football, like, they are on the field, they are in practice, they are in the locker room, like, you see all that stuff. It was really fun. It was a fun time. I gave it 4 stars, and then I got to the best read of the month, which was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This was the best book of the year according to Book of the Month. This is where I actually got it from. I picked it up before that was announced off of Lexi from Lexi's Libraries recommendation like a few months ago, but it just took me a while to finally give it my full attention, and I absolutely loved it. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Just the craftsmanship and art of this book is just so beautiful. This story is between Sam and Sadie. They met each other when they were both quite young, maybe like around 11. Sam was in the hospital with a foot injury, like his foot was basically smashed to pieces in a car accident. Another car accident. It's like the 3rd car accident I read about in January. Wow, that's a lot of car accidents. Sadie is in the hospital for her sister because her sister has like some kind of curable cancer. So Sadie meets Sam in the game room. He's like playing video games, and they bond over video games. And then this is the story about them and video games, and them creating video games together and becoming very successful in that path, that career path, and their friendship and their love for each other and the people around them, and how they can communicate, you know, how much they care about each other and the people around them through video games. And it's just a great book. This book makes a fabulous book club read. I didn't read it with my IRL book club, but my really good friend from college, Ruth, picked this book for her in real life book club. She's like out in California. And she texted me, she's like, hey, I finished that book. Did you finish it yet? And I was like, yeah. And we were just texting like analysis about this book. It's that good. Like, there are so many layers to this book, and I don't want to spoil anything because it'll be nice to like unravel it yourself. But like, if you want to pick a book that will make really engaging, thoughtful discussion, like, this is great for that, especially if you're really smart and you have really smart friends, because they're just connections to things that like I didn't necessarily make, but that like Ruth made. She like noted how it had correlations to like the Iliad, and I thought it was interesting how so many of the Asian women characters all had the same name. Like, Sam's mother's name was like Anna Lee, and then you find out there are so many Anna Lees throughout the story, and like, what does that have a reflection on of like how Asian women are portrayed or like viewed by American society? Like, just things like that. 5 stars easily. Like art. This is art. Beautiful. Amazing. Read this. So those are all the books I read in January. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. If you want to let me know that you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hang out again, subscribe down below, and I will catch you in another video. Bye.